The two bandits surged forward, one toward Sparrow, the other at Tyne. Sparrow raised his shield quickly, deflecting a frenzied dagger attack. Meanwhile, Tyne caught her attacker's club bare-handed. The bandit tried to pull away, but Tyne simply pulled him in for a headbutt, knocking him out. Tyne laughed, saying, "These prairie rats hardly seem worth the effort." Then the arrow struck. It was deep in Tyne's chest before she could react. The bowman drew back another arrow when Lee shouted words of arcane power. A projectile of green energy flew from his staff with a roar, striking the bowman and knocking him to the dirt. At that moment, Sparrow struck off his attacker's knife hand with his axe. "This ends now," he yelled. The newly disarmed bandit howled in pain as Sparrow slammed past him with his shield. The bandit collapsed to the ground. As he now saw the axe-wielding ranger bearing down on him, Mackie drew a glass bottle from his belt and yelled, "Catch!" Sparrow just barely managed to get his shield up in time. As the vial struck, Sparrow was instantly surrounded by fire. Instinct and training took over. Sparrow held his breath and rolled forward through the flame. Clearing the blaze, he threw his shield away as it was quickly being consumed by the burning liquid. Pain began to rise in his arms and legs from the burns. Tyne roared as she ran full speed at Mackie. Leaping backward, he drew both dagger and sword just as Tyne reached him. The great sword arced forward, Mackie just barely ducking its wrath. He struck back, lunging. His blade should have cut her deep. However, it barely drew blood. To Mackie's confusion, her skin was suddenly as hard as an oak tree. He did not get a second chance, as the great sword blurred again, this time finding him. Mackie's sword arm fell to the ground. It was still holding his blade. The owner also fell, clutching his ruined limb. Lee was suddenly at Tyne's side, as was Sparrow. The fight was over. Mackie lay prone upon the ground, holding up his good arm, crying, begging for mercy. Tyne couldn't hear the words. All she could hear was the voice in her head. "He is weak. He is scum. He does not deserve to live. Kill him. Break him, make him suffer." Other voices entered her mind. They were the voices of her friends. She could not remember their names, but they were here. "It's over," they said. "You don't have to kill him. Find your center. Focus your breath. Try to calm yourself." Tyne turned away from that pathetic face and those pathetic noises it was making. She raised her sword over her head, striking the ground again and again, yelling in frustration and fury, desperately clinging to control by her fingernails. Lowering her sword, she stepped back, saying to all the bandits strewn across the ground, moaning in pain or unconscious, "You're lucky they were here." She sat down on the ground, her sword in her lap. Suddenly, she was very tired. The battle was over. The bandits were restrained. The burning liquid on the ground was carefully put out with dirt, per Lee's instructions, after which everyone, including the outlaws, were given medical attention. While the fort doctor took care of the bandits, Lee helped his comrades. Most of the fort occupants had never seen healing magic before and watched with amazement while Lee worked. They were in the brewery, Tyne enjoying an ale while Lee carefully removed the arrow. Tyne seemed almost annoyed by her wound. Her bare breast was unashamedly exposed, allowing the mage to work. Modesty was not something taught by her tribe. Often their warriors fought naked so as not to ruin perfectly good animal skins. "The gods favor you as usual. A few inches one way would have been your heart. A few in the other would have been a lung," Lee said. Tyne took another drink and spoke. Must I always get this speech when you patch me up, old man? Lee laughed. And how is it that you think I am so old? Perhaps because I didn't run headfirst into arrows like somebody I know. Yeah, grumbled Tyne, taking another drink. Sparrow sat across from them, applying salve to his burns. Was that stuff he threw at us what I think it was? Yes, said Lee. Well, that is going to cause a shitstorm, remarked Sparrow. Lee nodded and touched Tyne, whispering words of healing. The arrow wound and the small cut on her abdomen instantly closed. There were mutters of amazement among the people in the brewery. Okay, my turn, said Sparrow. The two bandits surged forward.